Okay. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Okay. All right. Okay, so I can definitely hear that my audio is better now. Shoot, I'm wondering now if I should have given it like 5 minutes or something for an announcement that we were going live again. It was one setting that I had to fix that automatically set itself the wrong way on my laptop because I was plugging everything in and didn't have time to do a mic check before we started. So sorry about that, everybody. All right. So who all do we have here? I see Andreas. What? Oh, it's starting to loop again, Andreas. So I could hear the double audio when I went back and I was checking, but what is the loop that is? What's the looping that is being described? Alright, I'll go ahead and do this real fast. We'll jump right into it. I'm just gonna really quickly put a post up to let people know that, oh, well, okay, now we got people trickling back in again. Okay, perfect. Alright, I see now that the looping is good, everyone is saying. Okay, perfect. Alright, well, welcome everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Today is day 640 of Russia's illegal attack on Ukraine, the illegal invasion of Ukraine. And, okay, I see. It was just for the first few seconds that there was some double audio. Okay, perfect. And I might know what was causing that too. All right, so let's see. And Tone, I do see what you were saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm opening up our communication channel. With everything happening so fast as it was, I was just 100% focused on OBS, but let me get all of that right now as well. There it is. Okay, let's jump right into the content. So, basically, right now, we've got a couple of different things to cover today. Still going to, I guess now, we're going to go for about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, well, we might be able to go a little bit longer. But I do have to stop after 2 hours today. But as far as updates, first things first, let me go ahead and do an update on the fundraiser. Yesterday was incredibly busy. I did have a few things that I had to do. No questions yet. Okay, gotcha. See that. Yesterday, I had a few things that I had to do that were work related and for family. However, it was also interestingly, it was actually a productive day regarding assistance to Ukraine as well. By chance, I happened to meet two contacts of people also helping with the situation in Ukraine, the best in different ways. So yeah, actually I met someone acquainted with another person I know in the pro-Ukrainian community completely by chance. So yeah, that was nice. And again, if you hear any movement in the background, I'm traveling right now. There's a dog here with me. She's very quiet, but she might flop her ears or something every once in a while. So if you hear that, that's what that noise is. All right, now, first things first. Let me go ahead and pull up information on the fundraiser. I meant to post a video last night first, but I'm still going to be posting the video. I'm going to do it right after this stream. Yeah, basically we've got two important updates relative to the 110 drones that we are fundraising for to get to the 110th Mechanized Brigade, and for the anti-drone guns, also for 110th Brigade. All right, so media display. Let's see. Well, that's odd. Window capture. There we are. Okay. Ah, dang. One of my monitors got a scratch in it. Okay. Sorry, I'm pulling up the monobank information to show you all these updates. All right. Now, okay, there we go. All right, so here we have the monobank jar. This one is for the 110 drones for the 110th Brigade. So the important update we have regarding this is, yeah, apologies for the weird start, everybody. All right, so the important update that we have regarding the monobank jars for these fundraisers is the 110 FPV drones for 110th Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. You'll notice, actually, two things. One, let me go ahead and turn on these bars. So these are the progress bars that we have in place for the two jars. And for the anti-drone guns, we hadn't gotten another donation just yet recently, so that one's still pretty much where it has been. But you will notice two things. One, that the amount has gone down for both from where they used to be. One was at 2,200,000. The other one was at, I believe it was 230,000, if I look back at the most recent, at the last recording. But the amounts have gone down for two reasons. To start with, for the FPV drones, because it's such a large amount, every time a value goes up, what I wanted to do, and the original idea for using these bars was, of course, it would slowly fill, and eventually we would get all the way to the 2,200,000 goal, which is about 60,000 US dollars. However, because these things need to get to soldiers now, the way that instead we will be doing this is whenever we have enough for 1, 5, 10 drones, whatever it might be, that's going to be helpful immediately to be delivered to the front lines, instead of waiting until we have all 60,000 filled up and then sending all at once, because by then a lot of fighting might already be over and those drones might not be as helpful waiting that long to get them to the front lines. We went ahead and withdrew the money and got those first couple of drones. I'm waiting on a report from Anton with pictures and with visual update of the drones being acquired, so they can be handed off to the armed forces, to the 110th Brigade. And so what I was thinking, though, is, well, shoot, the bar's going to go up and down, and that's, visually, anyone who tunes in, I don't want them to be confused about that, because, it's like we might go from 5 or 10% down to 0. It gets reset anytime that you withdraw funds from the jar. So what we decided on is, and I just noticed that I have multiple screens now. Okay, hold on. Shoot. Or do I? Oh, I did before, but not now. Okay. Alright, there's a little bit of a delay. You never got a notification, MDAO? I'm sorry about that. There was a notification up for the first stream, and then we ran into some audio issues. I had to go in and manually fix all of that. It was a big thing. But in any case, let's see. Yeah, we've got the screen being displayed. Hold on. Display. Window. Oh, I see what happened. Alright, we're just going to go with regular display. Anyway, so basically, what happened is the 2,200,000 hryvnia. Whenever we make an update, we're going to, as you can see here, it's in Ukrainian, but we have here 6 of 110 drones have been successfully fundraised. So whenever we get to a certain point, we're going, and if we need to withdraw funds and get them to soldiers immediately, that's what we're going to do. We're going to set it up to where the funds immediately go to whoever needs them the most on the front lines. And then we're going to, there we go. We're going to go ahead and set things up. Set things up so that we subtract the amount that was withdrawn, and we add right here to the amount of drones that have been purchased and are physically being prepared to be delivered. So that'll be the way that we set that up for the drone fundraiser. So I hope that's clear and makes sense to everybody. And okay, I went ahead and fixed that window issue, multiple windows if you were seeing them. Sorry about that. OBS is a little annoying sometimes, even if you have something turned on. If something changes that makes that setting null and void in the middle of a stream, then it could either turn into a black screen or it'll fall back on the next thing that's visible underneath it, and that happened to be my entire screen. So yeah. Anyway, all right. So basically, next thing is this over here. Oh, wait a second. Ah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Over here we have the fundraiser for the anti-drone gun, and you'll notice this has gone down. Now, two things happened here. One is, you know, this is before we had started gathering a whole lot of funds for this fundraiser in the first place. But basically, the original goal was for 2 anti-drone guns that were of a standard model. You can kind of see, it's a little small, but you can see here examples of 2 previous anti-drone guns that had been purchased and delivered to soldiers in prior fundraisers. But spoke with Anton. He did 2 things. One, he was able to either put the funds together himself, I believe, out of his own pocket, or was basically, I won't go into the specifics, but he got a hold of 60,000 hryvnia that he was going to go ahead and put toward an anti-drone gun to get a good model out to the 110th as soon as possible. So we subtracted that from the amount, but then there is a newer model that he had gone ahead and found that rather than these standard models, it looks very similar, but instead of, I think it's 1 to 2 kilometers, this one has a range that's good for up to 3 kilometers. So that is what we're going to be purchasing with the funds for this fundraiser, which is actually beneficial for us, because any donations that go toward this, then rather than 230,000 hryvnia, now it's only 90,000. The cost of that is 150,000 hryvnia. We subtract the 60,000 that Anton himself paid toward it out of his own pocket, and then yeah, this is the remainder of the cost of a more advanced model of a single anti-drone gun. So I just want everyone to be aware of that change. Rather than 2 standard models, this will be 1 more advanced model. And from what Anton has told me, soldiers he's spoken to have spoken very highly about this. So once this one is fundraised and delivered, we might fundraise in the future for the standard models again, or we might just exclusively try to do this slightly more expensive one, because the other ones were like 115,000, I believe. Yeah, 110 or 115,000 hryvnia each, whereas this one is or maybe it was only 100,000. It was either I'm not going to bother with the math right this second, but yeah, rather than 100 or 115,000, this one is 150,000 hryvnia, but it should be much more beneficial to soldiers on the front lines. All right. Oh, your phone. Oh, your phone is showing 9,908 likes. Yeah, I've noticed that also. My phone, when I'm on different YouTube videos, it'll show me way more or way less. Like, it's not always accurate. I think there's a bug right now on the mobile app for YouTube. All right, so hold on. Let me go ahead and take a look right quick at the chat. I know that was a lot. Getting everything up and ready here right now. All right. So let's see here. I see one question so far. Let's see. Works best. Hold on. Who was it that had the question? Oh, M. Dow. So I see that you're looking for it, I guess. Give me 2 seconds until I find it as I write it down. Yeah, once you've got that question pulled up, just let me know and we'll take a look at it. In the meantime, I'm just going to leave this browser open for right now, and we'll utilize it for part of the updates today. Let me take a look at what all I've got set up. Okay, well, if anyone has any questions about the anti-drone gun and FPV drones updates, then feel free to leave them in chat. So basically, best way to summarize it is that the progress bar, at least for the long-term fundraiser, the FPV drones, if you see it going up and down, like the actual blue part of the bar, don't be alarmed, because it's going to be more of a guideline for showing how close we're getting to the goal. But as it gets a lot closer to the full 2,200,000, it's going to fill faster, because as you can see, we're subtracting whatever amount we withdraw, as mentioned, from the total amount that needs to be collected. And then I don't believe we should need to do that for the smaller one, for the 90,000 hryvnia for an anti-drone gun. That one we probably can just fundraise all the way and then use the money to get the anti-drone gun purchased, unless me or Anton, find another source and get that money directly to where it needs to go. If something like that happens, then I'll let you guys know. But for that one, no plan for anything like that. We just need to get it to 90,000, and then we'll get that anti-drone gun delivered. For the other one, those amounts will be subtracted whenever we purchase drones and have them ready to deliver. Now then, let's go over to the deep state map. All right. So, actually, yeah, let's go to the deep state map, because I do have another announcement I'm going to make. But I'm going to do that after we do a few small updates over here. Let's see. Oh yeah, and as Tone said, go ahead and @ Tridents Against Tyrants if you have any questions for me, and I'll see them in the live chat. Oh, let's see here. Andreas, your question, how good are the drone guns? Are they showing good results at this point? If you're talking about just anti-drone guns in general, all across the front lines, then yeah, my understanding is they have been extremely helpful. Because remember that both sides are using drones. So, I mean, a lot of them are relatively affordable. Originally, civilian-used drones that come from from China or from Vietnam or other countries where they're manufactured very affordably. So both sides are able to get their hands on drones and utilize them. But and so yeah, that means that both sides are at risk of becoming a target of drone warfare. So being able to take those drones out of the sky more efficiently instead of just actually trying to plink at it with whatever service rifle you possibly have on you, or trying to combat one drone with another drone in some way. Using these anti-drone guns, basically you can just well, I've actually never utilized one personally in the field, but my understanding is they can be rather pinpoint accurate, or have a little bit of a, with some models, maybe a little bit of an area of effect. And yeah, basically it's just going to take it out of the sky. It's kind of like electronic warfare. It's going to more easily allow you to take drones that you spot out of the fight without even having to fire a bullet. Hey, Sally Luce. Thank you. Yeah, no problem at all. We had a little bit of an issue with the start of the stream, but thankfully it's been fixed now. Oh, greetings from Ohio Oblast. Yeah, Ohio. I've heard quite a few things going on over there right now. Thank you for joining us. All right, now then, back to this. Okay, so one thing we aren't going to do very much today is discuss what's happening in the Kherson region. I will say there have been some gains here. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening in the Kherson region across the Dnipro. However, there has been a call from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, to my understanding, for operational silence. So because of that, we're going to just leave it at that. There are some gains, quite positive, but we're going to try to focus on other regions of the front line instead. Let's see here. All right, let's go over to, yeah, we're already 48 minutes in. Let's go over to Avdiivka and take a look at the map. All right, so while we're doing so, weather, fortification, simulation. I'm looking for the date filter for us to be able to see from one day to another. All right. Well, let's just go over the general situation in Avdiivka to begin with. So, basically, what we can say right now about what's happening in Avdiivka is Russia is currently in the midst of attempting a third wave of assaults on the eastern, in the east, in Avdiivka. Very unlikely to lead to a rapid Russian advance in the area, is what most analysts are saying. This is very much a siege similar to Bakhmut, which I'm sure a lot of us are already aware of. And oh, actually, I just realized. Yeah. Hold on. Let's center this. Kramatorsk, Slovyansk. Just trying to get to where it's actually readable for the situation in Avdiivka. Because here we've got Bilohorivka, we've got Serebryanka, Siversk. Well, in any case, the Institute for the Study of War has made the assessment and its latest analysis of the conflict since Friday, that Russian forces began the renewed offensive efforts toward taking Avdiivka on November 22nd. Clashes have been increasing in intensity near the town, which has been described as a gateway to the city of Donetsk, which, as I've said in previous streams, Bakhmut was a big, focused a lot in the news, but it didn't have really a strategic purpose. But Avdiivka, it does. Whoever holds Avdiivka, it makes it more or less likely that Donetsk would, the city of Donetsk would end up being in the hands of the Russian Federation or Ukrainian armed forces. So, yeah, holding Avdiivka is very important. Moscow's forces have suffered high losses of troop and equipment in the Avdiivka area. And let's see. Russian forces have lost a confirmed 197 damaged and destroyed vehicle in offensive operations near Avdiivka in total since October 9th. And the Russian military appeared to be spending the end of October and all of November preparing for a wave of highly attritional infantry-led ground assaults to compensate for these heavy equipment losses. So basically, they've lost so much equipment in attempting to take Avdiivka that, they're being forced to use large numbers of infantry. It's actually kind of sad. You're seeing these meat wave tactics not just because, well, they have the bodies to be able to do them, but kind of out of frustration and also in a pretty fucked up way, as an alternative to actually giving proper vehicular support or air support to any of their infantry, any of their troops on the ground, which is madness. It's literally kind of just saying, yeah, we could lose 50, 60, maybe even 100,000 men in this, but we really cannot afford to lose any more tanks or APVs or especially fighter jets in trying to take this town, Basically, it's just kind of saying to any orc soldiers, any Russian soldiers on the front lines, your life is not more valuable than our equipment. This costs X amount of rubles. Your life costs, and your training, which for many people is minimal, costs X amount of rubles. And you are not worth more than the equipment, which I'm sure is very demoralizing from the Russian perspective. Oh, let's see here. MDaz asks, would Red GPS Hawk FPV folding drone with 1280 by 729 HD camera takes photos and video that has follow me, hand gesture, point of interest, route planner. Oh, are you asking if that particular model would be helpful to Ukrainians? Let's see here. Red GPS Hawk FPV. Not familiar with a Red Hawk. Hold on a sec. Red 5 Hawk folding drone with GPS. Possibly. I think that, so I'll get more specific details for the particular, yeah, in fact I will do that. I'll get more specific details about the particular FPV models, whatever is operationally secure, that are being acquired for the Ukrainian armed forces here in our fundraiser. I could be mistaken. They could be open on the international market, but I believe that they are domestically produced. The anti-drone gun that will be acquired is domestically produced in Ukraine, and I believe the FPV drones are, but I will double check and get that information posted for all of you. Oh, actually, another thing that I'm going to be posting soon. I just realized the other day that I had gotten it from Rick, but never posted the stream that I had done with him before this channel even existed. The first stream regarding this fundraiser. So, yeah. Also, keep an eye out for that. I'll be posting it pretty soon. Since this live stream and also the update video that I was too exhausted to get recorded yesterday are going up today. Probably, yeah, sometime later this upcoming week is when I'll get that that other stream recording posted to the channel. Just to spread the uploads out a little bit. Oh, hey! Hey, Dick. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Alright, so, next. Actually, hold on. Avdiivka is very important, so I do want to cover it a little bit more. Yeah. According to an interview that occurred recently with an anonymous Russian military officer, to also take with a grain of salt, but the Russian media outlet RTVI, that so far Ukraine is successfully repelling Russia's offensive in Avdiivka. So even in Russian media outlets, they are admitting to this, which is kind of rare. Usually with channels like RT kind of painting everything as rosy as possible and kind of glossing over the negatives is a big focus. Now let me also... There we go. Let's close that extra bar at the bottom of the map. They're completely holding back our offensive on Avdiivka, said the military... not anonymous, my apologies. Military officer Roman Saponkov in the interview that was published on Thursday. Let's see. It was also reported that Russian forces detonated a 500 kilogram or 1,100 pound explosive charge in a tunnel under a Ukrainian position. And it said that the powerful blast left Kyiv's military without opportunity to push back against the advance in that particular moment. So this is more, again, and, you know, I speak of the devil. This is also from a Russian media outlet. So, of course, they're going to say that, oh, but we've done this and we're, defensive fortifications were quickly captured. But, yeah, no. That's just, again, for the domestic audience. Avdiivka is holding. But this is reportedly a new tactic recently adopted by Russia to get close to Ukrainian positions in Avdiivka. So as for... Now, here we go. And as a matter of fact, speaking about the 110th Mechanized Brigade, let's move away from Russian media outlets. Ukrainian media outlet, Ukrainska Pravda, a Ukrainian online newspaper, recently spoke with a member of the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade, who is quoted as saying, "As for the Russians' tactics, our war is often compared to World War I. On the Avdiivka front, the Russians have started using the tactic of digging tunnels. They're digging them close to our positions. First, this aids with concealment. Second, they can unexpectedly emerge close to our positions," said Anton Kotsukon, spokesperson for Ukraine's 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade. So yeah, this is a tactic that needs to be countered, and currently that's exactly what troops on the front line are doing. It is just fierce. The fighting in Avdiivka is very, very intense, which is why the more supplies we get out to them, the better. And to help further that goal, let's see, let me check the live chat. Oh, hey Annie. Thanks. No problem. Thanks for joining us. Hey Dick. I see it in chat. All right. All right. In order to help with this goal, I am gonna go ahead and make another donation right now myself toward our current progress on this front. So let's see here. Anton, if you are watching, then hopefully you can go ahead and transfer this to the monobank jar right quick, because I'm going to be donating this over PayPal. But let me go back to the jar itself right quick. Let's see. Alright, here we are back on the jar. So let's see. This one in particular. So we currently have, as I mentioned before, 6 of the 110 drones fundraised so far. Each drone is about, if I'm not mistaken, about 500, a little less than 600, about 550 US dollars. I'm gonna go ahead and send 600. So we've got one more drone plus a little bit of change. And anyone who wishes to join me, feel free to do so. No pressure to do so, but I'm going to be doing this, and once it goes through, then yeah, hopefully we can see the bar go ahead and increase here on stream. Anton should be awake, so yeah, if that goes through, we'll have it here on stream, and if not, then I'll be posting in my next community post that update. But let me go ahead and do that real fast. Oh, and I just got a notification from Anton. $20 from yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure this should be good to announce, but I see that you sent $20 to the anti-drone gun fundraiser Tone. Thank you very much. And I'm making the other donation right now. Oh, and in fact, I think I even see, yeah, it went from, what was it, 1,300 a second ago to 2,020 hryvnia. So yeah, there we go. We can see the progress for that on the bar right there. Thank you very much. Also, I'm going to plug my phone in right now so it doesn't die during the stream. Okay, and that's done. And once you've got that, Anton, just let me know. I don't know. I'm assuming that 600 should be good to transfer all at once. If there's any issue, feel free to just do it in 2 parts, 300 and then 300. But either way, that has been sent over PayPal, and hopefully we'll see that reflected here on the fundraiser bar momentarily. All right. Now then, let's go back to the map. And also, yeah, I'm having to kind of shift things around because I usually have 3 screens, but I only have 2. I'm so glad that I bring a monitor with me everywhere I go when I travel. Because trying to do all of this on one screen is possible, but it would be miserable. It really would be miserable. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at chat real fast. Oh, now for the direct PayPal link, I see your question there, Andreas. Unfortunately, we do not yet have a direct link. We have the basically you just need to go on to PayPal, either log into your account or use the app and search for that email address, and that'll allow you to make the donation. We are working on a direct link. In fact, I've got one set up that we may use here in the near future. The big thing is that the link that I have set up is a general link for the channel, and I want to make sure it's set up exactly how it should be for accurate or correct accounting for the for it to be the right kind of account, whether it's a general whether it's like a general PayPal business account or a non-profit PayPal account, business account, and have all that set up for proper, for taxes and all that stuff, because you still have to account for all that stuff, to my understanding, and have the right paperwork and classification for your PayPal accounts. So that's being worked on. I've also spoken to Anton, so on his end, he's looking into that for a direct link that people can click on. But for right now, similar to Rick's channel with PayPal donations, if you just search for the email, that'll give you the account that you can make donations to. Thank you for the question. All right, now then, next thing. Oh, wow. Here is a big thing. And I have no problem, actually, I have no problem with pretty much anything on YouTube, whether it's swearing or mentioning because it's a war, it's a goddamn war. Whatever's happening, we should be able to cover it without having to self-censor. But, and the goal of this channel is to raise money for the armed forces, not to worry about monetization or anything like that. Like, this is meant to be something that 100% focuses on getting what is needed to troops in Ukraine in the most efficient way possible. But also, I know shadow bans are a thing, and so I don't want to risk I don't want to risk the channel basically being under promoted by YouTube, just because, first of all, it's already covering a war, a conflict, so that's like one factor that already can't be changed. But depending on how I cover topics, I don't want the algorithm to basically just be like, oh yeah, this exists, but maybe I'm not going to promote it quite as much as I otherwise would. Maybe it's in vain. Maybe no matter what, maybe that'll happen. I hope not. But I'm going to use certain terms such as unaliving to refer to certain things that happen in the conflict. Anyway, so here, one more thing about Avdiivka, and then we're going to move on. There's a report that a Ukrainian artillery commander has said that there is currently a competition between brigades to see who can unalive the most Russian soldiers. Fighting continues to rage around the eastern Ukrainian city of Avdiivka as Russian forces attempt to capture it. The fighting is intense to the point where I don't know how many of you are students of war history, but kind of similar to World War I or maybe even World War II as well. Back in those days, you would have kind of competitions between brigades. In some controversial situations, you would even have what were known as tontines, which, hold on, was kind of we won't even go into that, but basically it reminds me of some stories that I have heard about and read about from World War One and World War Two, from relatives and from others. Anyway, a Ukrainian artillery commander said that brigades compete to see who can unalive the most enemy forces as they attempt to cross a heavy artillery zone in Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine. Fighting has been raging around the small city in the Donetsk region as Russian forces repeatedly attempt to capture it despite suffering heavy losses in both personnel and equipment. I'll even reveal a secret, Ukrainian artillery commander Artie Green told Ukrainian media in an interview published on Monday, per a Forbes translation. There is competition between brigades. We strike one target, then we see a neighboring brigade doing the same, then another one. And to anyone who might be saying, well, that's controversial, it is war. So, the fighting's going to happen regardless. Both sides are entrenched in this. There's no way to get out of this until the war is over, and especially in the hot spots like Avdiivka. So, people cope with the realities of war in a lot of different ways. And at the end of the day, the more enemy forces and personnel and equipment that are dropped, and the more means of, motivation on the Ukrainian side to achieve those objectives, in my opinion, the better. Yeah, they've just become good Russians. There we go, Greg. Yeah, precisely. I guess I should. That's a good way to put it, because I'm fairly certain unalive is already so overused by a lot of people on YouTube that it probably also gets flagged. It probably does already get flagged by automatically at times. So, yeah. Oh, and also I do notice that the bar has gone up, so we are again at 21,600.78 hryvnia. Thank you for putting that in there, Anton. And again, that's toward the 110 FPV drones for 110th Mechanized Brigade. 1% there, and 2% on the anti-drone gun, which may not sound a lot, but keep in mind that we're just starting on the donation for the anti-drone gun, and for the FPV drone drones, that's $60,000. I actually got when we first started, there were a few donations of like 50, 25 here and there, even 100, I think, and it still was at 0%, just because it's such a large amount. But you know what? Actually, the FPV drones, that's a much smaller amount, so I may also do a donation to that right quick before the stream is over, just to get that a little bit closer to its goal. All right. Sunflower fertilizer. Oh, yeah. Sally Luce, if you're having trouble with the Monobank link or Monobank app, I am starting to just kind of mention this in every stream. I'm still going to leave the Monobank links up for the sake of transparency, and also because that way people can bookmark them and go back to look at them for the progress and see, what percentage is currently fundraised, and in the case of the FPV drones, how many have been purchased whenever money is withdrawn and the bar goes back down, gets reset to 0. But I'm letting people outside of Ukraine know that probably the best way to donate and I've just noticed this with most creators who are doing fundraising, is via PayPal, because Monobank works very well if someone lives in Ukraine, and it does work for those outside of Ukraine, but it's a little hit or miss. Some banks outside of Ukraine, just because Ukraine is not, it is in the SWIFT system as a nation, the banks in Ukraine, international SWIFT system, but it's not part of the EU yet or NATO, and some banks will require you to do are you sure you want to send money, or did you mean to send money to this Ukrainian, fundraiser for a bank that is based in Ukraine? Because of all of that, I've gone ahead. I'm just saying, if you want to donate, the best way is via PayPal. If you want to try with Monobank, definitely feel free to do so, but PayPal will probably more easily work. Hey Chris, welcome. Alright, now let's move on to another region. Let's take a look at current happenings in Crimea. And I actually just noticed that the Kerch Bridge itself is marked, which, it is. It makes sense that it would be, but this whole section in the middle of the Kerch Bridge is also listed as occupied, which I wonder why it's not the entire strip. It's just this one portion in the middle. I guess it's because there's a small islet, very thin one, right here in the middle of the bridge. But anyway. So what are some... Oh, here's some breaking news from just 1 hour ago. From the Times of India, which we will take with a grain of salt, only because India hasn't been very... as a whole, India and many of the larger news outlets from India haven't been very pro-Ukrainian or pro-Russian one way or the other. Kind of have been to a certain degree neutral. If I had to really venture a guess, I would say a little more leaning toward Russia because of all of the economic and military interests between those two countries, India and Russia. However, let's see. Let's just take a look at this article right quick. So apparently there have been discussions between the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China about building an underwater tunnel to connect mainland Russia with Crimea, aiming to create a safe transportation route. Chinese Railway Construction Corporation, or CRCC, is interested in the project and has formed a consortium with Russia. Tunnel would cost billions of dollars and take several years to complete due to the complex nature of the project and challenging circumstances in the region. CRCC has experience in infrastructure projects and has connections with Russia through the Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, so... well, that's interesting. And actually, given the vulnerability of the Kerch Bridge and really just Crimea as a whole now, because of just continuing to evolve situation on the ground, and Ukraine's continuously enhancing missile capabilities, it makes sense that Russia would be looking for some kind of an option to safely get supplies and troops to Crimea other than the exposed bridge. But as it said, that's going to take years. That's definitely, that is not something that will immediately play into the current conflict. But it kind of goes to show the desperation and the fear of Russia that, wow, all of this money and time and lives that we're putting into trying to steal territory from a neighbor, we need to come up with creative ways to try to protect our economic interests in, what we're attempting to steal. So that, yeah, it just goes to show, maybe, perhaps not militarily, but economically, we do see this kind of sinister cabal, so to speak, between China and Russia. All right. Anyway, beyond that, as far as the situation on the actual front lines go, well, I guess this would be Crimea, so not the front lines in particular, but still very important to keep take into account. All right, so this from yesterday, Ukrainian sabotage of the Crimea Bridge, the Kerch Bridge, overturns naval operations, says intelligence head. Newly appointed head of the Ukraine's State Security Service, Vasyl Maliuk, looks on during a session of the Ukrainian parliament. A Ukrainian sea drone attack on Russia's Crimean Bridge in July had overturned naval operations and forced Moscow to resort to ferries to move weaponry, the head of Ukraine's main intelligence agency said in a video broadcast on Friday. Vasyl Maliuk, head of the Security Service of Ukraine, also known as the SBU, not to be confused with the intelligence service that I had mentioned before in one of the previous, if any of you have seen it, the short that I had put up about Ukrainian intelligence, where the owl is their symbol. Which would be Hurmo, can be abbreviated as HURMO. And I say HUR because anyone who is able to read Cyrillic, this same letter can be pronounced H or G. But the first is more Ukrainian and the second is more Russian. So I pronounce it Hurmo, HURMO, which I may even be saying incorrectly because I'm not a native Ukrainian speaker. But yeah, the English equivalent of the acronym is HURMO. And their symbol is the owl. All right. Anyway, so Vasyl Maliuk said that the second of two major attacks in August had seriously disrupted operations on the 19-kilometer bridge, Europe's longest, and denoted the notion of Russian invincibility. Europe's longest bridge, and dented the notion of Russian invincibility. We have practically overturned the philosophy of naval operations, Maliuk said in the first of a series of televised documentaries entitled SBU, The Special Operations of Victory. We have destroyed the myth of Russian invincibility. Their country is a fake. The bridge is doomed. Plenty of surprises lie ahead, and not just for the Crimean Bridge. Maliuk outlined how the attack, endorsed by President Volodymyr Zelensky, involved the 5 Sea Baby seaborne drones, remotely controlled from Kiev, 1,000 kilometers to the north. Video clips showed a fiery explosion on the bridge and technicians cheering the outcome in a control room. So yeah, this is referring to what occurred several months ago, of course. And yeah, so I mean, this is just kind of coverage of what all of us are already kind of aware of. But I do think it's important to come back to this because we've seen multiple different approaches to how to deal with the Kerch Bridge. I recall that there had been some missiles or attempted missile strikes I don't know. I don't believe those most recent ones had gone through, but there had been successfully, of course, I believe about a week or two ago, the attack on the naval base that was hosting one of the a fairly important ship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, not too far away from Kerch. And so, yeah, we see capability to strike with missiles. We see the capability to strike using autonomous sea drones. Of course, there was the famous attack with the truck that was filled with explosives. Again, I mean, if not pretty obvious because of the fact that it was delivered somehow without anyone noticing via a truck that was driving on top of the bridge. We can all thank Ukrainian intelligence services for that. So, again, to all of you who are putting in the hard work, and those among your colleagues who speak English, thank you very much for all that you do. Slava Ukraini. All right, let's see here. Oh, let's see. Mary, I got locked out of my bank. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that can get resolved. New Zealand. Hey, Aotearoa. Kia ora. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Miriam. We appreciate you being here. Alright, let's see. What else have we got here in chat? And also, oh, 1 second. Let me plug in my phone so it doesn't die on me before the stream is over. 1 sec. Okay, and I'm here. Okay, and yeah, I just responded to your question, Tone. Alright, so, that kind of covers a bit of the news, a little bit of the news from the front line. But really I guess that's mostly, because we're doing operational silence with Kherson, Avdiivka. It's still grinding. There are some new Russian tactics that really are important to address. That need to be, the Ukrainian forces need all the help that they can get, all the supplies they can get. They're doing, they're working very hard to be able to counter some of the crazy stuff Russians are trying there. Crimea, still a lot of work in creative solutions for being able to cut off supplies and isolate the peninsula and work toward getting closer. Let's take a look at... Actually, you know what? Zaporizhia is very important. Yeah, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's look at two more. We'll do a brief look at two more areas. One is Zaporizhia, because it is important. And then the other... I'm just going to do a quick search to see what things are like in Luhansk, because things, for anyone who's unaware, the situation in Ukraine across the front line has mostly been in the east and the south, but in the northeast, even though there are troops there on both sides. There's much less reporting because, to my understanding at least, it's a bit less active. Maybe not less active, but cutting the land bridge in the south, taking more of Kherson Oblast, taking it back, being able to basically make it clear that strikes on Crimea are inevitable. Those are all kind of the front of the news, front of the page topics that everybody wants to hear about, everyone is focused on. Luhansk kind of hasn't had a whole lot reported on it, even, like, not at all really in mainstream media. And among the Ukrainian, pro-Ukrainian community that's, like us, who are watching what's going on and keeping up with the conflict, I haven't seen a whole lot there, so I want to see what we can find about it. One sec. Yeah, when I look it up, I'm not even finding immediately a whole lot of information on Luhansk specifically. The most recent thing that pops up is from Radio Free Europe from back in February of 2023. Let's see. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do some independent research outside of the stream so I can come back, because I do think that's important to cover as well. Like, no single part of the front should be forgotten about. And so, like, whatever's happening in Luhansk, even if there is no changing of hands of territory, there's still people fighting there. We need to focus on the most strategically important areas and keep those at the forefront, of our minds, I do believe. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't discuss Luhansk. So we'll come back to that in a future stream, or I might make a video about it. All right, now, before we go over to Zaporizhia, and actually, you know what, just for the sake of having it up on screen, I'm going to go ahead and move this over. Yeah, I'm sure most of you probably are already aware, but over here is the Luhansk region that I was just mentioning. And look at this. Look at all of this activity. Look at all of these units, enemy units that are marked on the map, their exact positions. Like, there's a lot of, in the future, I think, anticipation that there will be more fighting in Luhansk. Just right now, not a whole lot of coverage on it that I'm finding. But anyway, let me take a look at questions. All right. Do you think that the majority of Russian men actually want to fight in this war? Wondering if there will be a point where the Russians just say no to mobilization. Hold on. But then I also see a note here about, true, good point. I should have reworded that question. All right, let me take a look at the chat. Okay, I see. If they're supportive might be the word you're looking for, is what Greg added. So I think the majority of Russian men are actually supportive of the war. Yeah. Okay, so as far as wanting to fight, I think, yeah, that rewording does make sense. I don't think most Russian men fighting in this war actually want to be fighting. As far as whether or not they're supportive of the idea of the war and they believe in their country, all the propaganda about, Ukraine being evil or needing to liberate oppressed ethnically Russian or Russian speaking minorities. I think that's hard to say. I think that you probably have a good chunk of men, especially younger men. Well, actually, maybe age isn't quite the most relevant factor here. I think you have a combination of men, young and old, who actually believe the propaganda and they really think, yeah, maybe Russia's not perfect, but we gotta protect our own or something, some crazy brainwashed logic like that. And think that, there was gonna be some kind of pogrom or genocide of some sort against them, orchestrated by just, I think, the West in general is this big bad boogeyman in their minds. And then there are others, I think, who really don't believe that, who can see through the bullshit. And they see what this is. They see that it's just power politics. It's an attempt to garner resources to shore up the strength of the Russian Federation so it doesn't eventually collapse as a nation state. And like, when Putin says this war is about the survival of Russia, in a way he's not lying, only because the way that he and his cronies are running the country as an autocracy, I mean, Russia has a lot of problems. And if it were to stay the course the way that it's going without opening and liberalizing and becoming extremely, at least trying to become closer to the West, not just economically, but also socially, in terms of having an open and more democratic society. Basically keeping things the way that they are right now without some form of expansionism, especially since it is an underperforming economy and has been for quite a while now, for a few decades, even if they want to pretend that's not the case, given the number of citizens and the GDP per capita, the average GDP. GDP of the country. It definitely wasn't looking good. But with that being said, the cost of this war and trying to take all of this stuff from Ukraine, because it's not just about people, it's also about resources in the Black Sea and having access to, having access to oil, having access to Crimea as a geopolitically significant military outpost. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I think, to answer your question, I think that those men see the big picture, that no, this is just a few oligarchs at the top making the call for all the rest of us and kind of lining their own pockets. But they don't do anything about it. They're like, okay, well, this sucks, but I'm either going to be politically neutral, apolitical, as they say, or I'm going to flee the country, but then not really do anything, just live somewhere else without being supportive of Ukraine, or I'm going to just, I'm like, there's a draft. I got to go to the draft. I don't have a choice. And then they just kind of accept it. You only see a few Russian men and women, just people in general, who have left the country and decided to actually try to help Ukraine. And by help, I mean financially and on the battlefield. Because there is the Legion Svoboda, the Freedom of Russia Legion, which does fight for Ukraine. But unfortunately, that's only been a few hundred or a few thousand, and there are many, many thousands, millions more Russians who are just either not doing anything or they're doing it in a pretty ineffective way. They're protesting on the streets, but not in large enough numbers to really overturn things, and in a manner where it's kind of like, instead of being a situation where it's like Gandhi protesting against a political force that actually may negotiate or give in to you. It's like protesting against Nazi Germany. It's like protesting against Hitler. I mean, Putin doesn't care. I mean, he'll walk away and kill however many people he has to continue this war and get what he wants. What he, in his mind, he thinks Russia needs. So anyway, thanks for the great question. I went on a little bit of a rant, but yeah, I think that the majority of them don't want to fight in this war, and possibly are slowly not even being supportive of it anymore. But yeah, when they just say no to mobilization, I don't think that's coming anytime soon. I think that there's just too much cultural numbness to, we don't like this, but it's the way things are. Thanks for a great question. All right. Now then, let's see. Do we have any more questions? Nope, I think we're excuse me, I think we're caught up on questions for right now. So let's go over to the Zaporizhia area. Well, and I guess Zaporizhia itself, right? Not much over here, but because obviously it's been in Ukrainian hands for a while. But going down here, let's see. And here we go. Let's take a look at last few days. Yeah, so as you can see, going back to at least November 12th, it's been kind of just at a standstill for a bit. Then we saw a bit of an expansion in both directions, both to the east and the west, out from Robotne, which is very nice to see. Yeah, and that's where we're at right now. So there is progress. We are seeing Ukrainian forces continue to fight and continue to expand this, well, not bridgehead, but this this nascent push to establish a corridor from which they can have a breakthrough and cut this land bridge in half, get at least to, at the very least, to Tokmak. And this is still the goal. Making their way all the way down over here to Tokmak. And if they reach that, they'll be halfway to Melitopol. And Tokmak already will make it extremely difficult for Russian forces all across this area trying to transport anything. It would really just leave them with one proper road to be able to transport supplies through down here in the south. And this road would be completely cut off. Leaves Melitopol in firing range. Yeah, just taking it one day at a time, and got to hold in Avdiivka, the Avdiivka area. Got to keep pushing down here toward Tokmak and Zaporizhia, in the Zaporizhia area. And we're going to remain silent, but optimistic about future operations in the Kherson region. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, with that, let me go ahead and just stop looking at that map and see. Okay. Do we have any questions in chat? Anyone have anything they want to ask? Also, yeah, what do you guys think? It probably would be better. It probably would be better, or a better practice to go ahead and take down the original stream that had the audio problems and just leave this one up, rather than leave both of them up on the channel. I suppose people might get confused and even maybe a little irritated because of the audio issues from earlier. Any news about GLSDB? I see your question, Michaels. Let's see. Okay. Right, that GLSDB from Boeing and Sub. That's a good question. Let's see. Honestly, my knowledge on that at the moment would be probably the same as what you've seen so far. The last reports that I see so far from last month, from October, that they will receive them. As for exactly when and where and how, I imagine that's about being... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Actually, I do see an update here from 4 days ago, or a report on it at least. But I imagine that it would be rather... for operational security, probably wouldn't be openly discussed the specifics of how that'll be delivered. Let's see. Oh, and in addition to those GLSDB air gliding bombs, they'll be getting exactly one additional HIMARS rocket system. Which, I mean, hey, every HIMARS counts. Every HIMARS is definitely useful. Because I think right now Ukraine only has 38, so this would bring the total number up to 39. Now, for anyone who isn't familiar, the GLSDB is an airdropped glide bomb that U.S. defense firm Boeing and its Swedish partner Saab, S-A-A-B, like Bravo, have modified for surface-to-surface strikes. It can hit targets as far away as 90 miles and should greatly expand the Ukrainian army's deep strike capability as Russia's wider war on Ukraine grinds toward its third year. and 90 miles is approximately 145 kilometers. All right. The administration of U.S. President Joe Biden pledged GLSDBs back in February, but stressed that the newly built munitions would take months to reach the front line. In early October, Boeing executive Jim Leary said the company was on track to deliver the gliding munitions in accordance with the government timeline. That might mean now. And if so, Russian forces across a wider swath of Ukraine are in greater peril, even forces hiding behind hills or buildings. So basically, with these air gliding bombs and an additional HIMARS system, it's going to make it so that a lot fewer places are going to be safe to hide if you are a Russian soldier in Ukraine when you shouldn't be. When you should instead be, I don't know, either outside of Russia like a year ago, should have left, or you ideally, us finding some way to assist Ukraine instead of just accepting the draft. All right. GLSDB provides commanders and planners with a highly flexible weapon that complements existing ballistic trajectory weapons to significantly expand current ground artillery capability. Yeah. Anyway, the answer would be that we still don't have an exact date, but I mean, if from what I'm reading is if it's accurate, then it should be probably this month or next month, I would imagine. I mean, it's already the end of November, so I would say probably before the year's over, they'll be receiving those. Oh, yeah. Hoping that with the GLSTB, they'll be able to shut down all the roads and rails through Mariupol. Yeah, that would definitely, that would definitely be very helpful. But also, we got to remember that there will only be the munitions are going to be delivered, but there's X amount of them, and there are, even though their equipment has dwindled a lot, there's still a lot of Russian soldiers, a lot of transport vehicles, a lot of trucks, APVs, tanks. As far as shutting down logistics across the roads that are taking things to places like Mariupol and Melitopol, definitely will be helpful for that, but still going to need to be strategic about when and where to utilize those GLSDB bombs. But yeah, thank you for a great question. Oh, Pat, I see your question. How long could Ukraine keep fighting if the USA stopped aid? Sorry if someone already asked. No one else has asked yet. And I mean, the answer to that, I think, is Ukraine could keep fighting for quite a while. Now, fighting and successfully taking back territory, rather than it being a stalemate, kind of hard to say, honestly. Ukraine has proven very innovative, very creative in utilizing what it has available to fight this war and take back its land and resources and people. Also, remember that people have been taken, children have been kidnapped. This is about more than just resources. That's a big part of it, but there are, there are actual liberations of people who have been forcefully displaced or put under the thumb of the Russian government, specifically the Russian military, and it's horrible. Anyway, yeah, regarding how long it could keep fighting, I guess every major analyst might have a different answer for you. I guess the real question is how, well, because there's really three ways it can go. One would be taking back territory. One would be everything kind of being frozen in a stalemate. And then, of course, worst case scenario, which no one wants to see, would be losing more territory. I don't think that with everything that Ukraine has now, I don't think Ukraine would lose large swaths of territory if all aid just stopped completely. But at the same time, we don't know. This is a very large, very fluid war. Support cannot stop. We need to push to make sure that it continues. I personally think that we would see more of a stalemate situation, and it would force some kind of a diplomatic negotiation. But that can't happen. We need to continue supporting Ukraine. With the amount of equipment they have, they could keep fighting for quite a while. Definitely for at least another year if they weren't getting more supplies, I think. Because they could always find other sources. There are other countries who have a vested interest outside of the United States in the outcome of this war. But it would make things a hell of a lot harder. So, yeah, the U.S. continuing to support Ukraine is crucial for this outcome to be favorable to Ukraine. Anyway, thank you for a great question. Let's see. Remote operated machine guns in Avdiivka. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you for a good question, Thorn. So it's funny, we were just discussing that a little bit the other day in a stream. Or rather, it wasn't a stream here on this channel. I think it was on Rick's channel. I recall that Starsky was in the chat and was asking. Yeah, no, it was Rick's last stream with Sunflower Project. If you haven't checked them out, definitely go take a look at their website. Take a look at the work that they do, because it's great. It's a lot of work involving robotics and artificial intelligence in Ukraine in order to assist the armed forces there. In fact, you know what? Real fast. You know what? Let's do this real fast. Let's open up the browser, and I'm just going to pull their website up and show all of you real fast what happened to my mouse. There it is. Anyway, now this is not specific to sentry guns, basically, or fully automated land-based sentry guns that you might be describing. But I just want to go over it right quick, because this is what led to the conversation the other day related to this topic. And there we go. Okay, so here's the Sunflower Project. I'm sorry. No, that's actually Sunflower. No, we're looking for Blue Star Sunflower. There are a lot. Let me say this. There are a lot of organizations using the sunflower as their symbol and putting it in their name for helping Ukraine right now. I actually wanted to start an organization that also used the sunflower. I wanted it to be Support Ukraine Now, acronym SUN, symbol sunflower, and literally that exact same idea was already being used by someone else. They do good work. Go check them out. But yeah, that's part of the reason why this channel, I actually like the name of the channel, Tridents Against Tyrants, but the original idea was a completely different name, but it was already taken. Small fun fact. Anyway, so Blue Star Sunflower, the Sunflower Project, is specifically formed by Kevin Ryson and Rick Wilson in the days following the Russian invasion. Yeah, so they support demining and education in the activity of being careful around mines and how to demine. a lot of the work that they have done is also related to robotics and artificial intelligence around the topic of demining. As far as what you're asking about, the kind of sentry guns that could be utilized by Ukraine, there's definitely been individuals in the Ukrainian armed forces who have been looking into this, and I know because I've seen questions from soldiers asking about this who are, I guess, either personally curious or actually looking into it for their brigades or for a commander. And not in Ukraine. Sorry, that was the dog. Not in Ukraine currently, and honestly probably overkill or too expensive right now to be considered. But let me pull this up. If you want a good example of the kind of thing that you're talking about, I think, literally just if I go to Wikipedia, look up the concept of a sentry gun, meaning a fully automated sentry gun that is powered using artificial intelligence technology. Then an example would be, here we go, the Samsung SGR-A1 or the Super Aegis 2, both from South Korean defense firms. Now, if there's one country that I have seen that actually does a fair amount of research into this topic, but they haven't really seen a lot of widespread use because their country, they're technically at war because, the Korean War never ended with a peace treaty, just with an armistice. So North and South Korea are technically still at war, everyone. Remember that. Then this would be a good example. To the best of my knowledge, neither of these are actually in use in Ukraine. Also, I think they are a bit expensive, so finding a more cost-effective alternative probably would be preferable anyway. But these do exist. And, if Ukrainian roboticists and artificial intelligence researchers and mechanical engineers all are coordinating, working together to do this research and figure out how they can create their own variant of these automated turrets, but at a fraction of the cost, then more power to them, because that is exactly, first of all, that's exactly what is needed. It'll be very helpful fighting this kind of a war against an adversary who doesn't care about their own soldiers, the lives of their infantry. Well, Ukrainians care about the lives of their infantry. Every man counts, and if you have a way to have things like automated turrets and drones neutralize multiple enemy forces without putting your own men at risk, then yeah, if they're effective, then definitely they should be utilized. Anyway, hopefully we'll see some advancement on the Ukrainian side of things in this technology, because if they do and they become competitive and they can actually even internationally give South Korea a run for their money with the production of this kind of tech, that could be a huge boon to the Ukrainian economy as a producer and manufacturer of advanced modern arms for modern day conflicts. Thank you for a great question. And let me take a look. All right, I think we had another question. Let me take a look. Let's see. How much better is the Western equipment in the time of winter? Question from Tone. I think it really depends on which country I guess Western equipment. I don't know if that's referring to just weaponry or personal gear like winter gear, winter equipment for an individual soldier. So I guess I'll answer both. For the individual gear that a particular soldier is wearing and utilizing, I mean, I think that a lot of it is pretty similar, but the better equipment would come from countries that specialize in that kind of military gear, whether it be, really warm, really effective parkas, or particular gear that's utilized for combat in very cold, very icy or snowy terrain. Finland, for example, is now in NATO. Finland produces quite a bit of military gear for individual soldiers related to that, and they're good at using it. They definitely train their people on it very well, so Finland is a very good ally to have for that kind of gear and training. As far as the weaponry goes, like HIMARS or, Western tanks, Leopard 2s, Abrams, stuff like that, and how they would perform in very cold temperatures during the wintertime in that kind of terrain. Again, I think it would just really depend. I imagine that most of them that are modernized, that come from places other than Russia, would perform quite well, or better than something that was originally built in the 70s or 80s or 90s, at the height of the Soviet Union, or rather the height and then downfall. But I guess I would have to look at each piece of equipment on a case-by-case basis to really compare and contrast. I'm sorry if that sounds like a non-answer. I'm not trying to give a non-answer. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can be with my my current knowledge that I have available to me off the top of my head during a stream. But yeah, a great question. And I might actually do a video about that. I might expand upon that question later on. Thank you, Tone. Oh yeah, Norway. Norway also is quite good. Yeah. With the influx in migrants... Oh, actually, hold on. Hugh, I see your question, and I'm going to answer it. Let me just grab my phone because it's charging right over here on the other table. I'll be right back. Because I think I got some messages. Ooh, also, I guess it has been 2 hours. I still have a little bit more time, but I am going to have to jump off here pretty soon. So, let me see. Okay, perfect. Alright, now then, let me answer this question real fast. And then I'm going to make a donation to the anti-drone gun fundraiser. And then I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And I will be posting that video update that was meant to go up yesterday. I'm going to be posting that after the stream. Again, sorry about that not going up. Yesterday was honestly, the last week has been crazy. I've been traveling. I have had multiple appointments. Not going to make excuses. We're going to get this done. We're going to continue fundraising. We're going to keep pushing to help the armed forces of Ukraine. I mean, all of us here are doing it together. We got to stand united, but I can say this, whether this channel ever gets to where it's got several thousand subscribers or it stays a little bit smaller, no matter what the case might be there, I personally will continue to be supporting Ukraine financially, in terms of trying to help in what ways I can on the information front, long term, until this war is over and beyond. Anyway, all right, let's go to the question. It was from Hugh. With the influx of migrants from Russia to Finland, do you think Moscow will try to send migrants to other bordering countries in an attempt to destabilize those economies? Oh, yeah, definitely. We already have news reports about this. And that's a common common occurrence that comes out of the Kremlin playbook. We recently, I mean, I think it was just a few days ago, or maybe a week ago, that there were announcements about Finland closing all of their border crossings with Russia except for the very northernmost one, which is, yeah, most people wouldn't want to go that far north in order to cross. So, yeah, that exact situation has played out recently with Finland, between Finland and Russia. Uh, we're gonna I'm going to personally count Belarus in this as well because Belarus is its own country technically, but it is very much a proxy, very much a puppet of Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation. I think what most people don't even realize is that Russia and Belarus may be nominally separate countries, and they do have certain separations of power that do exist in practice. But you know what? I've still got the browser pulled up. Let me pull this up real fast. This is something that exists right now that I think a lot of people overlook and don't think about. I bring it up because Belarus has done the same thing. Belarus has also sent migrants over to Poland, if anyone remembers that from last year or from not too long ago, within very recent memory. But the Union State of Belarus and Russia. Look at this. It's the first thing that even comes up at a .by Belarusian government website with Cyrillic, Belarusian Cyrillic, an official Belarusian government website. The Republic of Belarus and the Russian Federation signed the Union State Treaty on December 8, 1999. Under the treaty, Belarus and Russia have set a number of important guidelines, one of which is the establishment of the Common Economic Space. So the Union State of Russia and Belarus. This is kind of similar to the idea of the EU, where basically you're saying we're kind of one political entity. We're kind of like one country, but also not really. We're two separate countries, but we also have a supranation or an overarching political union, like how all of the constituent states of the European Union are their own countries, but also there is such a thing as an EU passport. It's not exactly the same, but kind of a similar idea, except exclusively between Russia and Belarus. And so whenever you see things that Belarus does, like sending migrants to Poland illegally and doing it in order to destabilize Poland, or Russia doing the same thing to Finland, I mean, anything you see Belarus doing is probably something that was mentioned or advised by Russia, or it's kind of an experimental sandbox. Like, okay, let's let Belarus go try this right quick and let everyone focus on Belarus, and maybe then we could try the same thing again later if the results seem like they were favorable. And Belarus is basically just the experimental playground for Russia in a lot of different respects. Anyway, back to the chat. Anyway, yeah, I do foresee Russia trying to do stuff like that, and Belarus, both of them, especially since they have contacts with regimes where many people are trying to leave places like Syria, and Russia has a significant presence in Syria. They have contact with the Taliban in Afghanistan. Afghanistan might be the next place to worry about lots of migrants flooding outward elsewhere, just because Pakistan, I don't know if any of you have heard, but a lot of Afghan refugees in Pakistan were forced to leave that country because of security concerns. So I don't know how closely the ties might be there between the Kremlin and the Taliban, but who knows? Maybe we would end up seeing planes flying into Kabul so they could take refugees from, take people from Afghanistan to Minsk or to St. Petersburg, and then from there they are just kind of given a map and told, hey, we're not really looking, we can't tell you where you should or shouldn't stay, but maybe you want to go check out such and such country. Again, speculation, but that's just one example of how this manifests. And yeah, I totally see Russia attempting something like that. Thanks for a good question. Great question. Oh, hey, CF Beauty, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I support everything that the shows do. You guys, the shows do a great job. You, Dick, Dunk, everybody. I still keep in touch with a few other people who I haven't seen on the shows recently, but who I first got in touch with through the shows related to Ukraine and completely unrelated to Ukraine. So yeah, keep up the great work. I really, the shows is one of my favorite channels on YouTube, the stuff that you guys cover. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, the new route from St. Petersburg to Helsinki is nuts. Yeah, it really, it is. Yeah. Also, let me say this. I won't go into the politics of immigration all that much. Um, about the people who are being encouraged to go from one country to another. But regardless, opinions about immigration in general, there's a certain legal framework for doing so. And one nation state, it's one thing when you've got just kind of a natural route that people take because places are connected by land, and they're governments maybe aren't encouraging it all. People just naturally end up trying to walk or hitchhike to wherever they're getting to have a better life for themselves, versus flying people in to another country on another continent and then encouraging them to go do stuff. Regardless of your general thoughts or opinions on immigration, everybody here in chat, I think we can all agree there's a big difference between the first scenario, which is kind of organic to a certain extent. It makes sense why people would just do whatever they have to get someplace safe, versus a government artificially creating that situation. And that's a key part of this that needs to be focused upon. Anyway, all right. Okay, so where are we at right now? We've been streaming for, and I do actually have to go because, like I said, I'm traveling, and I currently have privacy, but there are other people who need the space that I'm using for the stream right now. It'll be different next week. I won't have any time constraints, but I do need to jump off. So what I'm going to do is make one more donation, and then see if there are any last minute questions, and then I'm going to hop off. So let me go ahead and do that right now. right, and I'm gonna send. I did 600 for the drones. I'm gonna do 100 for the anti-drone gun. Yeah. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay. And hopefully we'll see that here on screen before the stream is over. Went ahead and just sent that, Anton. Let's see here. Alright, now let's see. Are there any more questions or comments to go over before I hop off? Let's see. Russian men found dead after Christchurch. Okay. Former Russian soldier died. I need to just be reading instead of reading under my breath, because it's a bad habit. I just do that, and now I'm remembering, oh, there's a mic here in front of me. Oh, here's one for. Okay, so here's a question from Mary. Oh, and also let me check my question list from. Yes, that's being sent in by. We do have a moderator today, also, everyone. Last week was the first stream on the channel, and I did not have any moderators. It was all just me. Today we have Tone here helping. So please say thank you to Tone for everything that she does. She's helping me out. She does a lot of good work for many other pro-Ukrainian channels, and yeah, thank you very much, Tone. Alright, so a question from Mary Martin is, so in US dollars, approximately what is the cost of a drone and an anti-drone gun? So that's a good question, and it kind of depends on the model. Let me go ahead and pull up an estimate. So, like, for example, the standard model for this anti-drone gun, it can vary a lot. So these are domestically produced guns that are made, if you're someone who is really big about, I like it when stuff is made in my country or made in a particular country, the anti-drone guns are made in Ukraine, and they are affordable. In fact, actually, I have an example that I can show. Hold on. Let me pull that up before we get off the stream. I'm also going to put it up later on a community tab update. But let me go grab this. Download. Save. Anyway, as far as the cost goes for an anti-drone gun, this one, the standard from before was about $3,300 US dollars, 3,335. That's the cost. 120,000 hryvnia, or I think that's about what it was, because it was either 230 or 240,000 before the amount on the fundraiser was adjusted to make it 90. But so those are about 3,300 US dollars. This one that we already have the first 60,000 for, so that's what this 90,000 is going to be the remainder to cover. The more advanced model is 150,000 hryvnia, which is an equivalent of 4,169 US dollars and 73 cents. So you just round it up to about 4,170. However, anti-drone guns, when they aren't made in Ukraine, or if you get, I don't know, just a fancier model, like maybe one made in the US or made in a European Union nation, I know that some of them can get as high as 500,000, or I think even 700,000 hryvnia, which, like, those more expensive anti-drone guns that I believe most units in Ukraine are not purchasing just because of the prohibitive cost can go anywhere between, oh yeah, like anywhere between $13,000 to $19,000. So, you know, there's a big difference. There's a big difference just depending on the company, depending on the model, depending on the country of manufacture, and therefore how much money is being paid to the engineers and other workers who are creating that particular model. And just like anything else, when it comes to international services and products, I mean, it can vary. The ergonomic design, the quality, the sturdiness, all of that from country to country. But just because one is more expensive than another doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. Yeah, there are plenty of examples of products that come from middle income nations that are probably produced cheaper and meant to be sold at a lesser price, but are still equal quality or sometimes even better quality than something you would get for 2 or 3 times as much made in a high income country. So there's a lot of factors and variables. Now, that's just the anti-drone gun portion. As far as the drones themselves, let me take a look. The drones themselves that we are getting are about $550 US dollars per drone. So that would be about a little under 20,000 hryvnia each, which is 19,786 hryvnia, 0.59 hryvnia. So yeah, that's for these ones that we're getting. Others that people are using, maybe not FPV drones specifically, but like for a long time Mavic 3Ts were being used. Those can be more expensive. And those, let's see, those are made in China, but I mean, honestly, depending on what retailer you get them from, I mean, if I'm just looking right now on Google, for example, I see some DJI Mavic 3s. They're not exactly specifically FPV drones, but just another example of a drone that's commonly been used in this war, anywhere from like $1,500 to $4,000 or even more, I guess. For the base drone, I think those average anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000. So yeah, these are a lot more affordable, and that's why we're aiming to get 110 of them. Let me double check that with Anton. But yeah, I mean, if you know, let's just do the math. If I open up the browser again, we've got 2,200,000 divided by 110. Yeah, approximately 20,000. So yeah, approximately 20,000 hryvnia, which is about $550 US dollars per drone. All right. And so, and I just got a confirmation about that money going through. And yeah, I see we're at 7% now for the anti-drone gun. 6,820 hryvnia. So perfect. This has been a pretty good stream. We got a few donations. Got one from Tone. I put a couple in. Everyone, if you want to help out, if you want to support this fundraiser, it's greatly appreciated. I know that the beginning of this stream was a little choppy with the audio issues. I do apologize for that. But whether it's $5 or $10 or it's 500, like whatever it might be, anything you can give is greatly appreciated. It will be going directly to the front lines. Here I've got an image update. Let me go ahead and put it up. regarding the anti-drone guns. Let's see here. Browse. Downloads. Ah, shoot, that's for a video. Okay, I'll just pull it up and oh no, I can't do that though. Okay, here's how I'm gonna do it. I will start by closing this. Then I will display the entire screen. And oh, actually hold on. Let me make sure I've got what I need pulled up first. And I know I see Anna from Ukraine is going live in 30 minutes, so definitely go check her out. And there we go. Okay, so there's a picture of Anton with an example of one of these anti-drone guns. This is the standard model that had been purchased for a for soldiers in a previous shipment. This is just one picture example. I'll ask for more in the future. So yeah, it is an interesting looking device. It almost looks like something from a science fiction show. But yeah, basically the way this would be utilized is you point it in the general direction of a drone that is actively flying, doing recon, or possibly a combat mission. We have the background blurred just because Anton has no problem with showing his face, but this was in someone else's living space, so didn't want to have their physical belongings visible on stream. But yeah, you would just point it in the direction of a recon or a combat drone of the enemy, and you can utilize it basically to kill the signal to it, cause it to fall right out of the sky and no longer be usable. So yeah, these are very important, along with drones that are actually being utilized by the Ukrainian armed forces themselves. And the newer this is an old standard model. The newer model that costs a little bit more, that's like 150,000 hryvnia. From what I understand, it looks pretty similar to this, but just has some slight differences. The biggest difference is just I believe the range of having 3 kilometers. It can be used for up to 3 kilometers to disable a drone. So yeah, perfect. Just wanted to share that with all of you. Now, all right, this has been a great stream. Again, if anyone does want to help us move closer to our goal, I'm going to keep donating and doing whatever I can every week personally to move this forward. But the more help we get from people, the better. Let's see if there are any last minute questions. Because I see a few people have hopped off. All right. All right. Yeah, we're already over time, so I'm going to hop off now. But thank you for joining, everybody. Continue to support Ukraine. Point your tridents against tyrants like Vladimir Putin. And yeah, have a great day. All right. Slava Ukraini.